basically drew me to the role of Princess Sofia was the fact that she was not a stereotypical Egyptian character. I think that we see a lot of, stereotypical characters right now in the shows that we watch and in the movies that we watch. But she was not, she's written, she speaks many different languages, she's well spoken and she's well educated, which is what we see in a normal Egyptian girl, and I think that's super important to portray properly. And also the fact that it's proper representation. I'm playing an Egyptian princess as an Egyptian girl, and I think that is very, very important. So that was definitely what mostly drew me to the role. Who is Princess Sofia, and where do you go in your head to be this character? Princess Sofia is an Egyptian princess, and she goes to London to finish her studies. She meets the gang, and then they fight the bad guys, and without spoiling, she definitely becomes a big part of the gang. And where I go in my head to be this character, I think I definitely did a lot of character analysis and researched and brainstormed and spoke with the directors, spoke with the producers, and even my fellow actors. I think that was definitely what helped me the most. I'll get into that obviously with the questions ahead. But where I go in my head to be this character, I definitely take a little bit more of my Gemini side and be a little bit more two-faced, I guess. She's obviously a princess, and what's funny about it is that she's a little bit conceited. She's a little bit arrogant. But also still, she deals with the issue at hand when she needs to, and she focuses when she needs to. So definitely bringing some parts of my character, but also bringing things that are completely different to me. How did you first find out about this project? So my agent Abby sent me the audition, and I did my self-tape. I did my self-tape in May 2020, got cast in October, and then we started filming in March, April 2021. So that's basically, there were maybe 3-4 different rounds, and I'm really happy I got the role, and I'm very excited for people to watch it. What was your favorite moment on set, and how do you let yourself be in that moment? My favorite moment on set, I guess, there was a certain stunt later in the season you'll watch. There was a certain stunt. Without spoiling, I have a fear of heights, so this was definitely something that was kind of tough. But we had a stunt coordinator, and obviously I was very safe, so it was fine. But I'm very proud of myself that I was able to do it because I was very stressed about it. But we're good now. What can audiences expect going into this show? I guess they can expect many different things. We're targeting ages 8 to 12, 8 to 14 max, I think, and so there's definitely the adventure aspect, and you'll definitely learn a lot. There's a lot of fun facts about ancient Egypt and pharaohs and just the culture in itself. So I think it's a good show to watch for the whole family, especially if you have children, and I think it's the perfect thing to watch on a Friday night. But I think you can expect a lot of new things that we don't see too much without spoiling. There's a lot of really, really fun aspects, and it's super entertaining. Is there anything you want audiences to take away from this show? I guess, I'm very, very happy about the proper representation, and I think that people really need to... I hope that people watch it and hopefully expect more things like this. I think it's super important to have our stories be told by someone that has done their research and have it done properly. Obviously, we're talking about more of an adventurous, fun kind of show, so it's not too heavy on that. But just the fact that she's not stereotypical, Princess Sofia in general was very important. So I think they can definitely take away some fun facts again about ancient Egypt, which is always fun. What was the most challenging scene for you to shoot, and how did you overcome it? Definitely the stunt. The stunt that I was talking about was quite tough for me because I do tend to be a little bit of a scaredy cat when it comes to things like that, but I'm very, very proud of myself, so I'll leave it at that. How is it working with directors Matthias Hohn, Alexander James, Jacob, and Matt Bloom? What are some things you learned about acting through their lens? These 3 directors were absolutely incredible to work with, and I learned a lot from them. I just learned that, my ideas can be heard as an actor, and I think that that's super important. My ideas were always heard, and there was always conversation. We were always brainstorming, and I'm very much a firm believer in the fact that I mean, I know my character better than anyone, and the same goes for any other actor. So I think that they always gave us the freedom, the whole cast. I mean, they always gave us the freedom to experiment before. I mean, while we're blocking the scene, before crew shows, and even in the middle of filming the scene, if there's some ideas here and there, they were always heard, and I think that was super important because it makes me feel like I'm part of the artistic kind of view of the show, which is very cool. What are some of your favorite adventure type shows, and do you use any of them to help build this character? So actually, Matthias Hohn, when we were doing our rehearsals before we started shooting, he had asked us to find 2-3 characters that we can that can help us, or that we can that can relate to the character. And my main one was Tahani Al-Jamil in The Good Place. I think that was very, very helpful. And she was definitely my main one, and I definitely brainstormed. I rewatched all 4 seasons. I love that show. So she was definitely my biggest one, and I had said Audrey Hepburn, and Matthias actually recommended Anna Wintour, which is definitely something that I took into account. So I took all 3 and then mixed them up into Safiya, and then added my own personal kind of take on it. So, but I think Tahani Al-Jamil was definitely my main one. What do you think having the series premiere on HBO Max could mean for diversity in the industry, given the multi-ethnic cast? This is a very, very great question. I think, HBO Max is relatively new, as some other streaming services, but I think what's special about HBO is that they're really, really careful about how they cast and just how they promote the shows, and promote the movies. I think that's very important, and I'm very excited about the show coming out on HBO Max because it's important. We see a lot of people writing stories about my part of the world without them doing the proper research, without them putting the effort into even doing some proper research. But what I love about Theodosia is that the script was written beautifully, and they worked with Egyptologists to make sure that what they were writing was correct, and that they even checked with me to make sure, even in the audition process, let us know if there's anything offensive, let us know if there's anything you would change, let us know if there's anything that's not particularly correct or something doesn't apply anymore. So I think that I'm very excited about that, and I hope that this paves the way for new productions and for new TV shows to come. And I think it's super important to be very, very, very careful about who you cast, and to make sure that it's proper representation and that you're not just getting anyone to do the role, because especially with my generation, we're very careful about what we watch and very critical about everything that we watch and just the entertainment industry in general. What was your process for getting into character as Safiya? It was really fun because, I love playing characters that tend to be a little bit arrogant. I find that super fun, and I think that's what makes it funny. But what I loved, the most important thing for me is character analysis, and this is what I do for any role. Any role that I play, there has to be a certain character analysis, and I have to write down certain facts, and I have to do my research, and maybe some fun facts that you would know. Things like that really help, and I keep that quite private to myself, unless I do have a conversation with a director or a producer. But whenever I do that, I keep this quite sacred, because that's basically my what helps me the most, and this is the most important part of building your characters, to really get to know your character, to be able to be your character. You have to believe everything. So the process was just tons and tons of character analysis, and knowing, just even making up fun facts that she would know, and maybe add them in scenes if we improvise, something like that. So I think that was definitely the biggest thing that had helped. So, that's it for the questions. Thank you so much for watching.